Here we go. Hello, and welcome to Unity of Fredericksburg. My name is Janetta, and I am pleased to welcome all of you to the Unity of Fredericksburg weekly online gathering. At Unity of Fredericksburg, we are advancing the movement of spiritual awakening and transformation through unity, a positive path for spiritual living. We thank those of you watching on YouTube live or later and invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you are able to attend live, we encourage you to join us in the Zoom community room for the full Sunday morning experience, including music, prayer, and connection. Our weekly newsletter includes the Sunday service link, and you can subscribe to receive that on our website at uofva.org. For everyone local to Central Virginia, Unity of Fredericksburg offers a variety of fun and enriching in-person gatherings each month. Subscribe to our weekly newsletter at uofva.org for all the details. Our message today comes from our minister, Reverend Cheryl Farr. And now here's Reverend Cheryl.
Hello, hello, hello. So happy to see everyone who is live in the Zoom room with me right now. And also want to welcome all of you out there on YouTube or later on when we share this video on Facebook, however it is that you're watching, whether you're watching live or later, we appreciate your energy and you being present with us. Our broadcast date today is March 24th, 2024. And our theme at Unity of Fredericksburg for the whole year of 2024 is well-being. And our focus for March is intellectual well-being. Intellectual well-being. So we're in the midst of the season of Lent. And we have been practicing letting go of thoughts, feelings, beliefs, and attitudes that no longer serve our highest good. So this is how we're working with our intellectual well-being. We are doing house cleaning in consciousness. We're doing consciousness maintenance. We're flushing the waste, taking out the trash. And letting go. Now, letting go prepares us for something. What? That's a good question, right? And only you know what it is that you are getting ready to manifest in your life. So it might be something small, it might be a new hobby, a new book, a new place you're going to explore, a new project, whatever it is. Today we have arrived at Palm Sunday, which is the beginning of what in Christian circles is called Holy Week, that week between Palm Sunday and Easter Sunday. But let's start with a little funny story, shall we? You know, I like to do that just to get our giggles on when we start things off. So it was Palm Sunday, but because of a sore throat, 8-year-old Billy stayed home from church. When the family returned home, they were all carrying palm fronds, and Johnny asked them what they were for. And his father told him people lined the streets with them when Jesus came to town and held them over his head as he walked by. Geez, Johnny said, the one Sunday I don't go and Jesus shows up. So there's your little giggle for this morning. So let me just say, whether you identify as Christian or not, and either way is fine, this season of letting go, this process of preparing our consciousness for something new has meaning and relevance for us right here and right now. So today we're going to look at the historical context of Palm Sunday. We're going to look at the example of how Jesus showed up on Palm Sunday, and we will rise up into that level of metaphysical meaning that we like to work with so that we can bring it home right here, right now to our lives. And somewhere along the way, I have a question for you. So just the question right now is, are you ready? All right. Let's talk about Palm Sunday. You know, I like to start with the basics. So what is Palm Sunday? Now, not everyone who comes to Unity grew up going to church, so you may or may not know the significance of Palm Sunday. So here is an answer I received from artificial intelligence by doing a little online query. So Palm Sunday commemorates the entrance of Jesus into the city of Jerusalem, during which palm branches were placed beneath his path. And it marks, as I mentioned before, the beginning of Holy Week in the Christian calendar. And it's the final week of Lent. So our source for historical information on all of this is the Bible. And I think you know that before I dive into using the Bible, I like to, toss out a couple of reminders. We're here at Unity of Fredericksburg, and in Unity, we absolutely see the Bible as something that we can use for a historical reference point of the culture of the time, that kind of thing. We also see the Bible as metaphorical. We know that the ancient Jews who wrote this scripture wrote it as stories. So we do not take it literally, and it was not meant to be taken literally. And we also see this ancient scripture as our own story and the story of humanity as a whole. So the big event of Palm Sunday in the Bible was a parade, right? Now, this Palm Sunday event of the entrance of Jesus into Jerusalem is featured in all four Gospels. So when we look at that and we see that it's featured across all four, then we feel like it rises to the level of like historical event, like this actually happened. So, and there's plenty of, information out there that you can cross-reference and go, okay, this actually happened. So there were people lining the streets, cheering, laying down palm fronds to create a carpet for Jesus as he came into Jerusalem. And across almost all sources, you see this bit of language. It's referred to as Jesus's triumphant entrance into Jerusalem. So it's important for us to put this into a historical framework. So historically, this is an era, and anyone who has spent any time studying the Bible knows that the Old Testament is filled with this kingdom, this ruler, that ruler. And so there was a lot of kind of like shifting of power in who's the leader, and rulers kind of move in and take over. And so because that's the way it went then, that's really what people expected from Jesus, that he was entering as the King of the Jews. That's what they expected. They expected to see rulers showing up displaying wealth and power. And even Jesus's followers were expecting this because they were men of the world in the world that they lived in, and that's the way things were done. So I'm going to read you a little bit from the wonderful book by Eric Butterworth, Discover the Power Within You. This is my old weathered copy of Discover the Power Within You. This one has a foreword by Maya Angelou. But here's a bit of what Eric Butterworth tells us about Jesus's followers and what they were expecting. So here's Eric Butterworth saying, it is important here to recognize that all the disciples had a little different shade of understanding of Jesus and what he was about. None of them really understood. Even Peter, who had that flash of great insight when he saw the Christ, the divine in Jesus, did not understand that Jesus's real mission was to bring the message of the divinity of man to all the world, that he was building a kingdom, a new order in the mind and affairs of man, but that it was not a political kingdom and would not involve the overthrow of the government. So, there is Eric Butterworth kind of, showing us that even the disciples were men of their time. So they expected that when they all kind of rolled into Jerusalem, that this was going to be a political takeover. That and throughout the Gospels, you see places where Peter is cited as pulling out a sword and taking up arms, and Jesus having to say, "Whoa, whoa, that's not what we're doing." And certainly all of the actions attributed to Judas are that of a man who is in the political world that he lived in, kind of placing influence and looking to support Jesus becoming the new ruler, right? So this is what people expected. The Roman establishment at the time that was kind of controlling Jerusalem, they're alarmed about this. The Jewish establishment, they're certainly alarmed about it. And we have people in the crowd calling Jesus Messiah, which is a huge thing. And you have lots of influencers kind of in the background and dissenting groups and, if you will, fake news and rumors. And you even have the people along the outsides that are inciting violence saying, "Crucify him, crucify him." So there's a lot going on. So let's just take a breath right here. And I want to ask you, does any of this sound or feel familiar? We had an in-person gathering yesterday, and one of the things we were talking about was just how much change is happening in our world right now. And we were also looking at the example of the founders of Unity. And we're actually looking back to go, oh, there's a huge amount of change happening when Unity was founded more than 100 years ago. So and then you have this example that we're talking about, the historical aspects of Palm Sunday, just huge amounts of turmoil. But there's kind of a common thread in that there's always stuff going on in the outer world, right? Our stuff has different names and things associated with it, but it's still kind of the activity of the outer activity of human society. So all that was happening on Palm Sunday. And all that kind of feels familiar to us, right? So let's just pause here and shift gears, and let's take a look at how Jesus shows up through this story of Palm Sunday. Now, just a reminder that in Unity, we will often refer to Jesus as our elder brother, our way shower. So we look to Jesus's actions and his words as an example of how we can be in our lives. So Jesus, the man, the spiritual teacher, was absolutely aware of all of these politics and factions and all of these things happening. But his actions leading up to this entrance into Jerusalem was he was hanging out with people that he loved, and he was spending time in prayer. So just hold on to, just think about when you have big change going on in your life. Are you all in all the stuff out there? Or are you doing like Jesus too? Let's spend time with people that we love. Let's be grounded in our connections. And let's spend time in prayer. So here's another quote from Eric Butterworth. This is from a talk that he gave called Palms and Passover. And this kind of brings together these two different aspects of what's going on in the outer world and what Jesus is doing, how he's showing up. The people thought that this coming into Jerusalem on this first Palm Sunday was his first move toward a militant takeover. According to custom, when a conqueror came into his own city, he was preceded by slaves and the spoils of his victory, followed by his army. But Jesus had no slaves, no spoils, no army. The conquering king rode in on a horse-drawn chariot. Jesus rode in on a donkey, a symbol of peace and humility, not war and aggressiveness. So that's another quote from Eric Butterworth, helping us to kind of frame this in the actual outer world that was happening to them, because Jesus showed up in a very atypical sort of way. And all the stories are consistent. So we do take this as this is how it really happened. So Jesus is not leading a brazen parade of control on display based on all of those outer elements, the outer reality of what's going on in the world. Jesus is leading a humble parade based on prayer, centered in his divine nature. So that's just from looking at, kind of the straight facts of how things are described. Now, before we even go into that level of looking at metaphysical meanings, you can see there's a distinct difference in focus and in approach. And here's where I want to ask you to turn your mind to your own life. So, this activity we've been doing in Lent, and I hope that you've been following along with the Lent booklet, or at least as you come here on Sunday morning in meditation, we've been going through the suggested letting go process that's in that booklet, and we'll keep doing that today. But these preparations are preparations you've been making in consciousness, clearing out the old, taking out the trash, making a way for a new way of being, whatever it is that might be in your life, right? So it might be something simple, might be a new hobby, might be a new book, might be a new connection with someone, making that phone call or taking up a project, or it might be something really significant. Whatever it is, my question for you, and the title for my talk today is, which parade will you be leading? So, is the parade of the change in your life all about the outer stuff, all about, oh, this is what it said on the news, this is what my neighbor said, this is what I looked up online? Are you using all of that kind of as your guidance system? Or is your parade more like Jesus's parade? Are you spending time with loved ones? Are you spending time in prayer? Are you going forth gently into a new way of being? So, which parade are you leading? So just keep thinking about that as we kind of take it another step deeper into this story of Palm Sunday. We're going to look at the metaphysical meanings of different aspects of this story. And just as a reminder, when we say metaphysical, we're not talking about some fancy mumbo jumbo. We're just talking about the level of meaning beyond the physical. So, for example, we know that love exists, right? We see evidence of love in our life, but it's not something that we can pick up and hold, and I'll take 5 of those. No, so love itself, faith, strength, things like this are metaphysical. They're beyond the physical. So what is the meaning of these different symbols in the story? So let's start with Jerusalem. So Jerusalem symbolizes a place of perfect peace in consciousness. So this parade that you have going on in your consciousness, you've been kind of cleaning house, right? Cleaning house. We're moving into, and what we're moving into is a place of perfect peace. Now, Jesus no surprise here in this story, represents the I am, the Christ consciousness that expresses at the point of each and every one of us, not just him. He was very clear that, and he repeated it, that it was not just him, that any of us, all of us, can do the kind of things that he was doing. All right, not just him. So this is the I am consciousness. And that I am, Jesus in the story, is seated on a donkey. And it's not even like a grown donkey, it was a colt, a donkey colt. So not only is it, this, and this represents kind of like our earthly animal nature, if you will. And I don't mean that in a negative sort of way, but we know that we have our human way of being and our divine way of being. So this is our earthly selves, and it's not even a grown, mature version of our earthly selves. This is, us as teenagers, us on a bad day. Um, so the I am is seated atop and with gentle control and mastery is riding into this place of peace. It's like taking all of your nonsense and putting your prayer consciousness on top of it. There's Jesus on the donkey riding into the Jerusalem space in your consciousness, a place of peace. And the crowds are in the story and all aspects of the crowds. Now, what is all that? That's all the thoughts and feelings, beliefs and attitudes in your consciousness. And here they are joyously welcoming this change that you've been preparing for. You've been taking out the trash, you've been preparing the way. Here we are moving into this new state of being. And here are all the thoughts and feelings saying, yay! This is wonderful. All right, so I just want to ask again, which parade will you be leading? So you've been clearing space. Are you going to be marching into your new situation armed with all the research you did on the internet and what your neighbors had to say and all that kind of stuff? Or are you going to be moving in like Jesus with your divine nature firmly in control? And just kind of settling down all your craziness in your mind and moving into a new way of being. Which parade will you be leading? So one more thing from the metaphysical interpretation is to look at palms, right? Palm tree. So metaphysically, palm trees represent the realizations in the physical of unlimited resource of strength. So as you're going into this new phase, this image of these palm fronds that are waving as you go and carpeting the ground in front of you represent strength. Now, when we talk about strength, our power of strength, our spiritual power of strength, this is a power of flexibility, not of rigidity. So I always think of a willow tree. Right now, I'm in Richmond, Virginia, and we've been having some windy weather, and the neighbor right across the street has a big willow tree. And that willow tree has the capacity to just twist and bend over in the wind. And then when the wind dies down, it comes right back because it's rooted strongly and it's flexible. So that's the kind of energy that you are getting from the palm fronds in the story. So we've talked about kind of these different aspects of the metaphysical interpretation. I want to share a resource with you. It's a set of books from a minister, a Unity minister named Bill Holton. He and his wife are located down in Durham, North Carolina. And Bill Holton wrote up metaphysical interpretations of each one of the Gospels. So I'm going to read just a little bit to you from this one. I looked them up in each one, and then I had to choose which one I wanted to use. This is from the Gospel of John. And again, this is sort of reading this story of Palm Sunday, not the whole thing, but, a segment, just straight up in a metaphysical interpretation, not kind of piece by piece. I've been doing it for you piece by piece, but here's a nice, smooth version from Reverend Bill Holton. As we awaken to our divine divinity, spiritually attuned thoughts demonstrate our readiness to receive the truths which are already grafted onto our Christ potential. And the way we access our innate divinity is by going to that place within which connects us with the abiding stillness and peace. That's Jerusalem. Our spiritually attuned thoughts, those are the crowds, right? Are evidence of our resolve to strengthen our faith and deepen our spirituality. When our error states of consciousness are overcome, our entire thought universe is bathed in thanks living. Wholeness is conferred upon our humanness when we realize we are the Christ expressing at the point of us. Our wholeness is assured once we attune ourselves with the I amness. We must realize that our actualized Christ potential elevates us above mere base instincts. That's Jesus riding on the donkey. Because our very nature is divine. So there's, isn't that amazing to just kind of hear that metaphysical version of this old story? So, once again, I just like to think about when I do lean into the Bible, there's Jesus always giving us an example of how to do this life. So as we prepare ourselves for a new way of being, of entering into a new peaceful space, we can do like Jesus does. Spend time with loved ones. Spend time in prayer. Consider this question. Will your parade be one of the outer world, or will it be led by your innate divinity? And remember, all of the accounts refer to this parade as triumphant. So let your parade be triumphant, whether it's a plan for a new garden or who knows what you have going on. Here's a quote from Ernest Holmes from Spiritual Awareness. Spiritual living is not a droll affair. It is the triumphant entry of the soul into the secret place of the Most High. Unless we forget, like, how do I know? How can I be sure that my parade is the kind of parade I want to be having? And my suggestion is look to joy. Let what gives you joy, what brings joy to your heart, be your guide as to like which way am I going? How am I doing this? So in John 15:11, Jesus is quoted as saying, "These things I have spoken to you, that my joy may be in you, and that your joy may be full." And joy is a powerful thing, my friends, because joy rides with us even through our hardest days. Joy is present because on a soul level, we understand that what is happening is a part of the natural evolution, the natural growth, the natural changes of things. So even when we're having a day that just feels overwhelming and tragic or frustrating or whatever it is, that joy can be our partner there. So our hearts are made for joy. Joy is humanity's most noble act. So the fullness of joy is finding the divine in everything. So that's it for Palm Sunday. And now we're going to move into our time of meditation. We are continuing to work with the letting go process in Lent for this holiest of weeks. So I invite you to take a deep breath and just come to this moment right here, right now, and listen to these wise statements as it guides you through this process of letting go. I let go of chaos. In the middle of chaos, by the power of my spirit, I declare, let there be light. I let go of bitterness. I replace bitterness with betterment. I let go of fear of lack. The fear of lack has no power over me. I am blessed. I let go of apathy. I live a life of vibrancy and joy. I let go of feeling obligated. I serve from a loving, willing heart, knowing God is my source for all I need. I let go of judgment. I observe my world in the light of love. So take all of these statements, my friends, and let us now move into some time in the stillness together, allowing it all to settle and be at peace. And as we bring our attention back to this moment, back to the awareness of the breath moving in and out of the body in the seat, the feet on the floor. Feel that gentle pressure of the clothing that you're wearing, the air in the room. And as we come back to this present moment, we'll close our time of meditation with an affirmation. I'll say it for you once, and then you can repeat it with me a couple times at home, okay? As I let go, I open my mind and heart to love. Say it with me, friends. As I let go, I open my mind and heart to love. One more time together. As I let go, I open my mind and heart to love. So it is. Thanks very much, friends. And I'm going to turn it back over to our friend Johnetta, our service leader for today.
Thank you, Reverend Cheryl Fair.
Yes.
I apologize for that. All right. And thanks for watching the weekly broadcast from Unity of Fredericksburg. Visit our website, uofva.org, to learn more about our mission of spiritual awakening and transformation and support our ministry with your financial donation. Thanks again